Hey everybody, welcome to my booth. I'm Jay and it's Thursday. We've got a sample here. That's what we do. This one's from Steven. If you'd like me to review audio of yours just like this, fill out the form down in the description, send me something, and we'll do something like this ASAP. If you've already submitted, I may pass you over for folks who have yet to be reviewed. But there's also coaching on my website if you'd like to skip the line and work one-on-one more concertedly. Lastly, if you like the stuff and you find it helpful, you can help me out by asking questions here, clicking the buttons down below, all of which is very much appreciated. Steven, what do we got?
Chevy Live is a one-on-one virtual video experience that allows you to talk live to a product specialist in real time. Ask questions, get answers, and see feature demonstrations on a Chevrolet vehicle from anywhere. Join us on a journey to a more accessible world.
Nice. So really great start. I think that this copy really suits your voice really well. And the music complements the read too. You've timed it really nicely, and it's clear that you have a pretty good instinct for what this copy's looking for in general, at least in my opinion. So I know you were curious about kind of just any notes that we could give, which is really helpful for short spots like this because we can really get into the nitty-gritty. Let's start off talking a little bit about performance stuff. So this first section, you go about 6 seconds without a breath, which, you know, is commendable on the one hand, but after about 3 seconds, I personally started to switch from listening to what you were saying to worrying if you were going to run out of air and to hyperbolize, pass out, which is not something you want in your listeners. So don't feel obligated in copy like this to push to any certain stretch, to connect thoughts by virtue of not breathing. You can justify breaths in commercials or in really anything just by tweaking the story a bit. And by tweaking the story here, what I would mean would be, as you're telling the story and you're conveying the ideas, where does it make sense to pause and take a breath to either shift a thought or add something else to the thought that you've already started? So let's give a listen and then maybe offer some ideas.
Chevy Live is a one-on-one virtual video experience that allows you to talk.
Okay, so that to me sounds like a good chunk to then take a brief little pause and breathe for a second. Chevy 101, what is it again?
Chevy Live is a one-on-one virtual video experience.
Chevy Live is a one-on-one virtual experience, or I'm paraphrasing a bit, but Chevy Live is a one-on-one virtual experience. Little catch breath there.
That allows you to talk live to a product specialist in real time.
Chevy Live is a one-on-one virtual experience that allows you to talk one-on-one with an expert in real time, or whatever it is. So just a little tiny catch breath there. Both helps me as the listener feel like you're in control. You are an expert in this. You're very, grounded in what you're saying. It also helps me to understand what Chevy Live is. Chevy Live is a one-on-one virtual experience. And then we're shifting that allows you to do this. And so that's one way where you can break it up. And in ads like this, sometimes you can feel pressured if there's not a comma or not a period, or on the other side of things, if there is a comma or a period, or if there's a line break in the ad copy, we can feel obligated as readers to pause there, to make space for something. And my advice is usually to follow the thought chunks. So again, in this first one, Chevy Live is a one-on-one virtual experience that allows you to do this, this, or this. You don't have to start pressing and squeezing air out to get to the end of that thought. Let's continue listening to the rest.
Ask questions, get answers, and see feature demonstrations on a Chevrolet vehicle from anywhere.
So that's also something that is helpful to recognize here. So this is a list from this section here.
That allows you to talk live to a product specialist in real time.
That allows you to talk live to a specialist in real time.
Ask questions.
Ask questions.
Get answers.
Get answers.
And see feature demonstrations on a Chevrolet vehicle from anywhere.
and see future demonstrations on a Chevrolet vehicle. And I would argue that from anywhere applies to all of those, which means you could add a little catch breath there or just a brief little hint and make it conclusive from anywhere. So it's the importance in recognizing that this is a list is they're all connected. It starts off with Chevrolet Live is a one-on-one experience, a one-on-one virtual experience that allows you to do this, get answers, and get all this stuff from anywhere. And by connecting that stuff, and I would actually recommend that you number the things on your fingers, and by connecting all of those together and numbering them on your fingers, what numbering things on your fingers does is a couple of things. Firstly, it pulls us out of our heads and puts things in our bodies literally. We are physically representing the thing that we're talking about. Additionally, if I list things on my fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, from anywhere, each of those numbers are distinct. They're different. They're different numbers. They each have their own different intonation, their own different personality almost, and yet they're all connected in that same list. And so in something like this, where we're attributing all these wonderful things that Chevrolet Live can do for you and your needs with your Chevy or whatever it may be, by connecting them on that list, it helps us to understand them. Let's listen to the last bit.
Join us on a journey to a more accessible world.
Join us on a journey to a more accessible world. I don't mind the read that you have there.
Join us on a journey to a more accessible world.
Though I will say...
Chevrolet vehicle from see feature demonstration more accessible world.
The idea of it being a more accessible world, join us on the way to a more accessible world. What am I trying to say?
Join us on a journey to a more accessible world.
Join us on a journey to a more accessible world. I think that my notes here are sort of directorial to give us options because join us on a journey to a more accessible world. I think the way you've done it works just fine. But I'm also might be curious to try it on join us on a journey to a more accessible world and making the accessible world part of it, because this ad it's a virtual one-on-one thing where you can do this from anywhere. We're making this so accessible to you. All of your questions, answers, concerns, you can do it from anywhere. We're making ourselves available to you always. Is kind of the selling point of this. So I would be curious about what it would sound like if we punched up accessible in that way. The last thing that I'll say in terms of performance, most commercial reads, they fall into a few different durations or lengths. They'll be either 6 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or 60 seconds. Those are kind of the four main categories that they'll fall into. And just by looking at how long this is, it's running about 19 seconds, that kind of keys me in to think, oh, you know what? This ad should probably fit within 15 seconds. And the reason that's important to bring up or understand when you're reading copy or making ads or demos like this is that can inform how quickly you need to read the copy. And then when you're reading the copy quickly, essentially saying, we need to fit all of this information, because right now it's 19 seconds, we need to trim 4 total seconds off this. And so you're going to have to perform it a little bit quicker. And then knowing that you have to perform it a little bit quicker, you can then use acting choices to justify things. Now, fortunately here, this copy, you've got a few pauses built in here that are timed to the music and all that stuff, which is still great. But if we take those pauses out, it's basically going to fit within 15 seconds as you've read it. So that's just something to bear in mind. And then if you find you're reading copy that's a little long at the pace you're reading it to fit within 15, 30 seconds or whatever it may be, then you might just try a couple takes where you're picking up the pace and justifying that with acting choices, not just arbitrarily talking faster, but by having a more of an urgency to communicate this idea. So instead of, with this ad as an example, if I were to read it at a lax pace, Chevy One is a one-on-one virtual experience that allows you to access all of these things from anywhere. So that's one thing, but if I have an urgency to it, it shifts to Chevy One is a virtual experience that allows you to do all of these different things from anywhere. And I've truncated it, and it has a new energy to it, which may benefit your read in this ad in some way. So those are my performance notes. Let's talk technical stuff now. In terms of the way you've constructed this, generally, it's a little on the quiet side for me, and there are a few things that you can do to adjust that. Firstly, I would recommend going to watch my how to make a voiceover demo video, the DIY thing. I go over a lot of the stuff in detail on how you can make everything balanced and of the appropriate loudness and all that jazz. So that has more detail, but in short, the voiceover, before you put it over the music, it looks like you could use maybe a little bit more of a compression with this particular voiceover. This is a radio ad that's going to go really quickly. You're going to want it to be pretty punchy, which means you can compress it a little bit more than something else maybe. And that'll help you as well to sail over the music. There are a couple of other tricks that I talk about in that demo video, like using EQ to carve out space in the music for your voiceover, using sidechain compression on the music. So really, my big advice for you here would be to start by getting your voiceover to an appropriate loudness before you put it over your music. And then the music, you could make just a smidge louder in relation to it by virtue of doing that. And then at the end of everything, you'll want your audio to be, just a little bit louder overall. Demos like this, you can normalize to like -1 or -3 dB. And if you've got everything compressed and kind of level, maybe even limited, it'll help it to be louder overall. I'm not going to play it right now because we can't do any of that adjusting in the fine-tuning of things, but watch that video. If you've got any questions, let me know. I hope this was helpful for you and to everybody else out there. And until the next one of these, be well, everybody, and I'll see you there. Toodles.